Alright, so I think it's about due time that I do another video for you guys with a little bit of update. I have completed my first term of WGU for cybersecurity and information assurance. I was looking back at the old video that I made with my first post of my initial courses. I took down a few notes to kind of go over the questions that were asked, just because I feel like there's people that have the same questions but don't always ask. So I'm going to kind of go into detail as to my situation and how my first term went, and I just kind of want to lay it out there that this is by no means how it's going to be for every single person. This is just my specific situation and the things that I went through while I was trying to complete my term. Long story short, I was deployed. So I know there's a few military people who actually go to WGU, are gonna go to WGU. Unfortunately, where I was, there was a lot of proxies and firewalls that would not allow me to view some of the material that my instructors would send me. So with that being said, it kind of kicked me back and slowed me down in the amount of courses that I was doing. My job kind of put me in a 12-hour shift, so I had 12 hours to work, 8 hours to sleep, per se, and then whatever amount of time to go to the gym to kind of go over schoolwork and anything else that I needed to do. I didn't exactly have all the resources I needed. Granted, I could have gone and looked for them myself, but due to the fact that I was kind of going with what the school was offering me, I didn't want to kind of veer off course with what they were saying is what I need to study. So in regards to, let's say, web development foundations, for me, I couldn't finish it because I had actually gone through 2 different versions of the courses. My term started in January. When I started, the course itself was one course that I was given, and it kind of went through. I took my time studying for it because obviously I had 6 months. 6-month term is usually what you kind of go through. That being said, I'm the type of person who I rather learn what I'm actually reading instead of just kind of flying through and memorizing what I need to do and just going on, because I know later on it's going to affect me in the amount of information that I actually know in regards to the subject. So I told myself, hey, I might as well just learn it now before I just fly through it, and then down the line, if I need it, I don't know exactly what I'm doing. I have to kind of start over, kind of accelerate through the knowledge itself to be able to understand what I'm doing. So maybe a month or 2 down the line, I had gone maybe 3 weeks before I started back up my course again when I was deployed, because I was deployed. So I said, let me settle in, let me see how my shift is. It took a little bit of getting used to, because obviously the time change and the schedule I wasn't used to. It was kind of sporadic. I know I said it was 12 hours, but it wasn't consistent. So every day I had a different shift, worked at a different time, worked in a different location. So it was, it kind of kept me from having something steady. And I like something that's consistent so I can actually stick to that. And then long story short, within like those couple weeks before it took me to start the course up again, they had switched me to a different course. Due to the time change, it was a little bit harder to get in contact with my instructor and with my course counselor because I was 7 hours ahead. So obviously with that time difference, or 7 hours ahead Eastern time, they were Mountain time and Eastern time, but it was always time conflicting because I'm not gonna message somebody at 2 in the morning their time and expect them to answer back. So it was kind of like a give or take. I had to message them. Sometimes there were holidays, or sometimes they were out of the office, so it took a little bit longer for them to get back to me. Once they had switched me to that new course, I was a little confused. I told my course instructor, she said, hey, go through it, see how comfortable you feel with the material, and then we'll go from there. Took the pre-assessment, didn't do as good as I thought I would do. Then, went through the course the first time before they switched it. Learned a few things, not enough to really, say, hey, I learned something. When I started the new course itself, I took the assessment again, and I had gotten, I think it was like a 69, and you need a 70 to pass. So I said, hey, let me, take a little bit more of the course and see what I can do. I had passed all the practice tests of the actual course itself, and I felt comfortable enough to take the test. Come to find out, I take the test again, like the actual final test, and what was on the practice test and the course itself wasn't on the test. So I kind of felt blindsided as to what I was actually learning. I felt like I didn't learn what I was supposed to. Also, granted, my fault, which I will take the blame for. I memorized the right answers opposed to memorizing why it was the right answer, which is something I kind of learned through this whole term, which I kind of wish I knew, back when I was in actual like elementary and high school and middle school and all that stuff, is learn why it's the right answer and learn why the other ones are not the right answer. Kind of give you more of a knowledge. And another tip that I learned was, if you can teach it to a child, you know what you're talking about. So I didn't feel comfortable enough. When I reached out to my instructor, I told them, hey, they changed me the course. I was doing better with the first type of course that you guys had put me in. And they said, okay, we'll put you into that course. Once you take the assessment again, you have to actually get permission from your instructor after you take it the first time if you fail it. They have to send you a study plan to where you have to pass it, and then once you pass that study plan, then you can take the assessment. Come to find out, I couldn't even see the material that he had sent me because of the proxies and the firewalls. I tried anything and everything I could. I even reached out to the IT department and it said due to the fact that I was in a different country, I wasn't going to be able to see it. I don't know why. I even used VPN, nothing would work. I used my computer on my own Wi-Fi. I used the computer at work. I used the computer in the library. Nothing worked. So it kind of slowed me down to the point where I was like, hey, I'm just wasting time at this point. Let me just accelerate through my other courses. I took IT Foundations, and that is for the Core 1 of the A+, so the 10001. I kind of flew through that one, and I passed it in 3 weeks. Scripting was the next course that I had. I took that one. I believe I passed it in 2 weeks. Granted, it was a lot more memorize what you're doing opposed to actually memorize why it's the right answer, because there was if you actually take the course, it's some math is involved, but it's more of sequence. It's a little bit hard to explain unless I actually go into the course and break it down for you. And then I went to go take the Core 2, which is the 10002 IT Applications. Granted, I had 1 week left due to all the slowdowns that I had from the web development course to complete the course. I studied as much as I could. Every single second I had free, I was studying. Took the test the day before the term finished, and I failed it. So that's 2 courses that I failed, or not failed, but they're considered incomplete because I still have a chance to retake them. Which brings me into my next point. I just started my second term in September. This is for anyone who's military and is actually using TA. If you do not complete a course, or if you have an incomplete for a course, TA will not cover you for your next semester until A, you either pay back the courses that are not completed, or B, you show an incomplete, but then you still have to pay for those courses out of pocket in the long run. They give you 120 days to pass those courses or have a passing score before you have to pay back any of the funds. So TA was helping me out for the large chunk of it, and then financial aid was kicking in for me, which is my situation. Again, this is not based on anybody else. So my plan is to finish the courses, which is web development and foundations and IT applications, within the next 2 months. I have until the end of October to pass them. If not, I have to pay out of pocket. If you go back to my first video, I actually explained how the terms work. You have to take a minimum of 12 course credits to be able to consider full-time, and then in those 6 months is when you have to pass it. If you actually pass those courses within those 6 months, whatever amount of time you have left, your course instructor, your course counselor can actually sign you up for other courses, and you can accelerate through those. So let's say a course takes you 3 weeks. You have 2 other courses, depending on the amount of credits that they're worth, that you have to complete. Once you complete all 3 of those, or all 4, or all 5, however many you're taking, you can add on another one free of charge, because you're only paying per term opposed to paying per class, which is the beauty of WGU. Again, go watch my first video. That's actually going to explain a little bit more into it. If you do have some questions, you can always ask me in the comments. So going back into the comments to what people were asking, accelerating, which pretty much I just broke it down. You can take as little as 12 course credits per term. They could be 3 courses, 4 courses, whatever amount it is. Finish those as fast as you can, move on, keep going. I've seen people graduate, instead of taking 2 years to complete their bachelor's, they finished it in 6 months. It's possible depending on how much time you apply to it, and obviously the amount of freedom that you have to stick to those courses. In regards to the amount of courses completed, technically I have 2. I want to finish the other 2 so I can actually have an actual full term completed, but they're still considered incomplete. So even though they're incomplete, I can still finish those, give myself credit for the first term, and then finish the other courses that I have for this term itself. Assessments. So somebody said, so pretty much all you need to do is pass the assessments and you can never take the course itself. Technically, yes. If you pass an assessment, that's some courses are assessment only, and some of them are project based, depending on obviously the type of degree you're going for and the type of course you're doing. If you have the knowledge to pass the assessment, you technically never have to actually go into the course itself. You do have to start the course, take the pre-assessment. Once you pass the pre-assessment, you have to ask your course instructor to give you permission to take the actual assessment itself, again depending on which course you're taking. And then from there, if you get a passing grade, you move on. Technically you need to spend a couple hours per course. If you do it, there's some people who are born to be book smart and can actually just fly through courses. I myself am not. I like to physically, touch things and learn. That's my way of learning. So if I don't see it with my own eyes and there's some sort of interaction, it's not as easy for me to learn, which kind of is a downfall, but it's just the way that I learn. Somebody asked me how many credits I transferred over. Unfortunately, I didn't have that many because when I went to school for my associates is in mechanical engineering, which unfortunately those credits do not pass over to cybersecurity. So I believe I had just enough, which is 61 credits, and the bachelor's is 128 if I'm not mistaken. I would have to do the math again, but pretty much I'm at 41% right now, including the 2 courses that I still need to complete, which will probably bring me up to 45%. After this semester, I should be around 50 something percent, so I'll be more than halfway through. Hopefully within the next 6 months I can still kind of dig deep and go as hard as I can to try to accelerate as much as I can. That way I don't have to wait until the end of 2023 to complete my bachelor's. My goal is to finish as much as I can by the end of 2022, so that way 2023 is not an option for me. But obviously I have responsibilities that I still need to worry about. I'm still in the process of taking a test for a promotion that I'm still working on, so things are kind of hectic, but they're kind of all over the place because I have to study here, study there, so kind of goes back and forth with those things. I do want to say thank you to all the people that actually commented on my video, that took their time to watch it. I'm sorry it took me so long to make a video. I just didn't have the energy to do it. I didn't have the drive. I just kind of came back from my deployment and enjoyed my time with my family, and that's it. I didn't care about anything else. So if you guys do want me to make another video, just let me know in the comments. I do plan on making one for my second semester. I'll go more into detail as to how things are going once I actually have the ball rolling, and then I have my courses under me. Once I finish those 2 courses that I'm still missing, which is web development and IT applications, I'm hoping to have my A+ certification and to at least have those 2 credits off my books so I can be a little bit more ahead. Once again, thank you guys for watching this video. If you do like it, please subscribe, like it. It does help me out. It kind of motivates me a little bit more to actually make more videos. So I do appreciate you guys, and this time I won't make the music so loud as some of you complained about. So